Welcome to my books and story time by mybooksummary.com. Let's explore. There's a certain mystique around tech startups, the stories of their meteoric rise, the billion-dollar valuations, and the lives of the people who made them happen. But behind the glitz and glamour of Silicon Valley lies the often gritty, tumultuous reality of starting a company from scratch. Jessica Livingston's Founders at Work, Stories of Startups' Early Days is a fascinating look into the messy, emotional, and surprisingly relatable journey of startup founders. If you've ever wondered what it's like to take an idea and transform it into a multi-million-dollar company, or if you've just been curious about how some of today's biggest companies got started, this book is a goldmine. Livingston interviews founders of companies like Apple, PayPal, and Hotmail, and in doing so, reveals the real challenges, the funny anecdotes, and the deep personal struggles that often come with starting something new. The heart of the startup journey. At its core, Founders at Work is about the early, difficult days of entrepreneurship. The founders in this book all went through times of doubt, financial stress, and sheer exhaustion. But what makes this collection so fascinating is how human it all feels. These aren't superheroes with a secret formula for success. They're regular people who took risks, made mistakes, and kept pushing through when it seemed like everything was falling apart. Take, for instance, the story of Max Levchin, one of PayPal's founders. He talks candidly about the early days of the company, how the team worked long hours and faced numerous technical and financial obstacles. One of the most poignant moments in his interview is when he describes the feeling of failure that hung over them, even as PayPal started to grow. There's something incredibly relatable about that. A reminder that even the most successful entrepreneurs felt fear and doubt before things clicked. The not-so-glorious beginnings. A common thread through the stories in Founders at Work is the idea that successful companies didn't just appear out of nowhere. For every Apple, there's a story of uncertainty, failure, and near collapse. These entrepreneurs didn't always have things figured out from the beginning. They didn't have all the answers. In fact, many of them were making it up as they went along. Take the story of Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, the co-founders of Apple. Wozniak talks about how, in the very early days, they were so broke that they couldn't afford much beyond the bare essentials. Jobs, known for his ambitious vision, wasn't yet the polished, confident CEO we know today. The duo was trying to sell their first computers out of a garage, with little experience in business or marketing. There were moments when they thought they might not make it. But what set them apart was their passion, their drive, and their ability to see things differently. Wozniak remembers the moment he realized that people would actually want a personal computer in their homes. It wasn't some grand strategy, it was a simple, almost childlike belief in the potential of their product. That's what made Apple's early days so special. It wasn't about perfection, it was about staying persistent, passionate, and focused on the long-term vision. Failure, a constant companion. Another recurring theme in Founders at Work is the role of failure in the startup journey. Most of the entrepreneurs in the book went through at least one major failure before finding success, and many of them faced a series of small failures along the way. Take Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn, for example. Before LinkedIn, Hoffman was part of a failed social networking site called SocialNet, and he talks about how devastating it was to watch it falter. But instead of letting that failure define him, Hoffman used it as a learning experience, one that helped him understand what worked and what didn't. He took the lessons from SocialNet and applied them to LinkedIn, eventually building the networking platform that would change the way professionals connect. One of the most valuable lessons that comes from these interviews is that failure is a natural part of the process. Every founder in Founders at Work had to face moments of intense uncertainty, but what set them apart was their ability to get back up, learn from their mistakes, and keep moving forward. In fact, many of the founders interviewed consider failure to be an essential part of their journey to success. The challenges of building a team. Building a strong, cohesive team is one of the biggest challenges any startup faces, and this is something that many of the founders discuss in Founders at Work. Creating a company is one thing, but finding the right people to help you build it into something sustainable is another matter entirely. For instance, Tony C., the founder of Zappos, shares how important it was to hire the right people. C speaks passionately about Zappos' unique company culture, which is built around the idea of customer service and creating a positive, supportive work environment. Zappos became famous for its commitment to creating a company where employees were genuinely happy to work, and C believes that this culture was a key part of the company's success. But he also acknowledges how difficult it can be to align people with a shared vision, especially as the company grows. There are also stories of conflict and tension within these startup teams. In the case of PayPal, the founders had differing visions of what the company should be, which led to clashes early on. Yet, it was through these conflicts and challenges that they were able to find a way to work together and eventually build something great. The power of vision and persistence. Throughout Founders at Work, what becomes clear is the importance of vision and persistence. Many of the founders didn't necessarily have a clear roadmap when they started, but they had a belief in their ideas. They were driven by the possibility of changing the world or solving a problem that no one else had addressed yet. Mark Zuckerberg's interview is a prime example of this. He talks about how Facebook was born out of a simple idea, but he was driven by a desire to create something that would connect people in new ways. He talks about the pressure he felt, especially in the early days when Facebook wasn't yet the global phenomenon it would become. Yet, despite the challenges, Zuckerberg and his team kept moving forward, iterating and improving, until they found the right formula. In the end, Zuckerberg's story highlights a key point. Persistence is key. Vision is what gets you started, but persistence is what gets you across the finish line. Why Founders at Work resonates. What makes Founders at Work stand out is its candid, unfiltered look at the lives of entrepreneurs. There's no sugarcoating here. The founders share their struggles, their fears, and their failures in a way that feels incredibly human. These aren't just success stories. They're stories of people who had to fight through the toughest of times, who doubted themselves, and who stumbled along the way. The book is filled with moments of humor, vulnerability, and insight that make it easy to connect with the founders. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or simply someone interested in the behind-the-scenes world of startups, you'll find inspiration in these stories. The struggles of these founders are relatable. They remind us that success is rarely a straight line, and that the journey is often more important than the destination. Conclusion: the power of stories. Founders at Work is ultimately a book about stories. It's about the stories of the people who have shaped some of the most iconic companies of our time. These stories offer us insight not only into the world of startups, but into the hearts and minds of the people who dared to dream big and take risks. If you're looking for a motivational book that promises a simple formula for success, this isn't it. But if you want a realistic, grounded look at what it takes to start something from nothing, Founders at Work is a must-read. It's a book that shows the raw, imperfect, and often messy reality of building something that can change the world. And in the process, it offers us a reminder that anyone can do it, no matter how flawed, imperfect, or uncertain they may feel along the way. Stay tuned for more enlightening content. Head over to www.mybooksummary.com. Don't forget to subscribe and share the magic with friends, and let's grow together through the power of books and interesting stories.